If you're a small business owner or a side business owner, or you're about to start one and you're a little bit concerned about the whole bookkeeping and accounting side of things, then the first thing you need to know is that it's not actually as complicated as you're probably thinking it is. And by the end of this video, you're going to feel a lot more knowledgeable, confident, and relaxed about the whole topic. So this video is going to be split into two parts. The first part, I'm going to give you an outline of really just the key things that you actually need to know at the start. And then the second part of the video, I'm going to show you a couple of methods for actually managing the bookkeeping for your business. One of the methods is very simple, but very basic, but it's free. And then the other method has a few more bells and whistles. It's also very cheap, but it's not completely free. I'm going to show you how to get it cheaper than you normally would. So with that said, let's get into it. All right, so first off, what is bookkeeping? Bookkeeping is just the name that we give to the process of recording the finances for your business. So tracking your incomes and your expenses. So like incomes would be sales, expenses would be the outlays and the things that you need to spend money on in order to run your business and to make money. I think most of us, when we think of bookkeeping, we think of it, it's boring and tedious, and it's just so that we can sort of fulfill our tax duties and do our tax returns and things like that. But it's actually way more useful than that. So having your books up to date and being on top of your accounting and actually being able to read your basic accounting like reports like profit and loss report, you'll be able to look where your business is wasting money, which parts of your business are particularly profitable. These are just examples, right? And then with that information, and as you get better at reading your reports, you'll then be able to make much better business decisions. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to make more money, and that's what it's all about. That's the aim of the game, right? The good news is, these days, it's really easy. The software that's available for super cheap is just amazing. If we were having this conversation 30 years ago, it would be a different story. I might be telling you, don't even bother, just get a bookkeeper to do everything. Like back in the day when it was all done on paper, that's when people just literally used to hand over like a box of receipts to their accountant and say, you do it. Like it would have been an absolute nightmare. I wouldn't have even fancied trying it myself. But these days you can do most of it yourself, and then maybe just find like an accountant that you trust just to help you with certain aspects of it. But yeah, most of it you can do yourself. You might even be able to do all of it yourself. It's up to you, and it obviously depends on how complicated your business is. All right, so next up, the essentials. And this is like, okay, I'm going to break it down into the things that we need to track. And these are sort of the key parts that make up bookkeeping or accounting as a whole. So first up, you've got your income. This is all the money coming in. So basically every sale, every payment you make, it's all your cash coming in. If it's an online business, it's sales of your product. If you're running like a side business, like, I don't know, gardening or cleaning or something like that, it's every time a customer gives you money, that's classed as income. Expenses, this is anything you're spending money on to keep the business running. That could be things like materials, services, advertising, or even your coffee runs if you're meeting a client. Next up, assets. That's things like equipment, computers, inventory, vans, etc. If it has value and it's helping you in the business, it's an asset. Liability. So that's money that you owe, like a loan, for example, or an outstanding invoice to a supplier, maybe. Yeah, so it's basically, it's almost like an expense that you haven't actually paid for yet. And then finally, equity. This is your stake in the business. It's like the running balance of your ownership. So money you've invested minus any money that you've taken out for yourself. All right, the next topic we need to talk about is cash accounting versus accrual accounting. And please don't get worried if this all sounds very confusing to you. You don't really need to overthink it. All right, so cash accounting means you record income when the money hits your bank account, and expenses when you actually pay them. Accrual accounting is about timing. So you would record the income and expenses when they're earned, even if the money hasn't arrived yet. So most small businesses start with cash accounting, and that's absolutely fine. So it would only be a problem if, let's say you provided services, but only billed your customers at the end of the quarter. The services that you provided would be recorded when you actually receive payment, which would be at the end of the quarter, and your books wouldn't reflect that you've actually been working all quarter to earn them. So it would sort of not really give you a clear picture of what's happening. That's when accrual accounting would be better, because you'd actually be logging when the money was earned rather than when the cash was actually received for it. And it works the same when you're paying for things as well. So if you're paying for goods at the time of purchase, cash accounting is going to be absolutely fine. If you're buying things on account like inventory and only paying 3 months after, that's going to, again, skew your books and things are not going to look quite right because you've received that inventory in, say, June and you've started selling the goods, but you've not actually handed over the cash until like September. It's just going to look weird and it's going to affect your reporting and things aren't going to look exactly as they should. Now, I think a lot of you on this channel, if you're starting like an online business, like an online store, cash accounting is going to be absolutely fine because your customers are generally paying you at the time of purchase. Like I said, don't overthink it too much. For most people, cash accounting is fine. If you're still not sure, ask an accountant, even if it's only just this one question. I'm sure they get this question all the time. It's a really common one. I'm not an accountant. This is just general advice and it's impossible to give personalized advice because there's obviously many different factors. All right, now I'm going to show you 2 very easy methods to handle the bookkeeping for your business. So the first one I'm going to talk about here is just a very basic spreadsheet. And it is very basic, like you can't really get much more basic than this. If your business is like a side business, so in this example, I've used like a lawn mowing business. Let's say you're doing it on the side and there's only sort of a few transactions each week, then this will suffice for you. If you've got heaps of transactions or if it's a more complicated business, you're going to very quickly outgrow this. But for some of you, particularly freelancers, for example, this might be fine and this might be all you need. And then you feel you don't need any sort of software and you can just make do with this. This is Google Sheets, which is basically just Google's version of Excel. It's free. Just get like a Gmail account and then you'll have Google Sheets for free. So you can see here, just along the top, I've got date, transaction ID, description, category, income, expense, balance, and notes. All right, so I've got a few formulas in here just off the bat. I'll actually put this spreadsheet or a link to this spreadsheet in the description when I figure out how to do that. But just for now, I'll show you. So this field here is just recording the total of your income. This field is just recording the total of your expenses, and then this is your balance here. So for example, we've got large lawn cut, and we're saying we've made $100 for cutting someone's large lawn. That's gone in income. And then we've said we needed to buy some fuel for our lawnmower. That's an expense. So we've put $10 in that account, and that's now meant that our balance is 90. Let's say the next day we then cut a small lawn, which is income again. We've earned $50, so we've now got a balance of 140. Then we actually did a large lawn and trimmed the hedges. So I don't know, if this is helpful, me sort of doing an imaginary business with you, let me know in the comments. I've had a few comments saying that people would like to see me start an actual business. I'd love to do that. I don't know if I've got the time. I've already got a couple. But so what I might start doing from now on is using more sort of like imaginary businesses in examples. So like I'm doing here. So then the next day we've put marketing expense, $70. We've decided to start spending $10 a day on Facebook ads. So that's $70. But then look what happened here. The day after that, someone complained that we cut their lawn too short. And all their grass died. So we had to give them a refund. So that then affected our balance. So we only made 120 for the week there, but you can sort of play around with these. So let's say we didn't get that refund. So if you delete that, it's much better. You can see we've actually made 220 for that week. I don't know. Let's say, what did we do the next day? We had to buy some lawn fertilizer because we're now also fertilizing people's lawns. That's an expense. How much is lawn fertilizer? I don't even know. Let's say 20. So just to give you an idea sort of, how this works. So look, then we've made $100 profit for the week. So let's say, look, our income is 300, our expenses were 200, and we're left with 100 for the week. This is probably the clearest way to show you what bookkeeping actually is. Like, even when you're using software, if you strip it all away, this is the bare bones of what bookkeeping is. It's income minus expenses, and then what you're left with is the profit or a loss. Like, for example, let's say we hadn't actually cut these 2 lawns. We actually lost $100 this week because we only made $100 income. But then we spent money on fuel, marketing, all that. So already you're starting to see like how you can then go into this. So for example, here we are, we've made $100 profit for the week. And then let's filter by expenses like that. And then you go, right, these are the expenses. What can I cut down? Obviously, not having to refund someone would be a good start. But let's say, all right, maybe we can cut marketing expenses to 50. And then you can see there, we've made 120 for the week. So I hope that just outlines what bookkeeping is in its most bare, most simple and basic form. Right, so next up, now we're going to talk about accounting software. I use Xero. I've used it for close to 10 years. It's the one I always recommend to people. You can get it for $9 per month. So I actually reached out to Xero. It's normally $35 per month, which is still like nothing really if you're running a business. Like that's just such a small expense. But $9 a month for the first 6 months, and you can get a 30-day free trial. There's a link in the description to that. But this is what it will look like when you open it up. So you can go in and you can add a bank account. So like this, add a bank account. And then you should, ANZ, if you've with ANZ or whatever, or you can search for it. If you use PayPal, a lot of people use PayPal as a way of taking payments. You can add that in there. And then once you've synced it to your bank account, and you can actually backdate it. So even if you've been running your business for a few months already, you can actually go in, you can add your bank account and it will pull up your history up. I can't remember how far it goes back, but you can pull it up. So if you've already started your business and you've not really got this set up yet, then don't worry, because you can sort of backdate where you start recording from. So anyway, when you log into your dashboard, it's going to look like this. So you'll see all your bank accounts here. Total cash in, cash out, for example. You can customize this dashboard to, like, obviously if you never invoice people, you can get rid of this because you don't even need to see that. If you pay your bills up front, like I don't even bother with this logging my bills like that. So you can change all this to whatever sort of reports you want to see on your dashboard. But anyway, so when you log in, it will look like this, and you'll see it says reconcile. And this basically is lines or transactions from your bank account that you just need to sort of say what they are. Now, most of the time, the software will have a good guess of what they are, and you can just come in and click OK. I don't know this. So this is a demo account, by the way. This is not my business. It's a demo account. I couldn't work out what type of business it actually is. But anyway, what's happened here is they've received like $6,000 from Ridgeway University. And they've spent 1,181, and they've paid Truxton Property Management. So I don't know. So anyway, so you come in here and you can go, right, okay, yeah. And you go, yep, that's correct. And then what's happened here, you can use discuss. So for example, you can give your accountant or bookkeeper, if you're using a bookkeeper, access this account. And if you're not sure of something, you can just click discuss and you can write that in there. And that's what's happened here. They've put, this is an old invoice, do not know how to code. Your accountant's going to come along, read that and go, oh yeah, no worries, I know how to do that. NAB bank fee. So for example, so this is what I'm saying, it codes it, right? So it knows bank fee, I should probably say NAB, right? And then bank fees. So these are the codes. So if you've got an online store and you're purchasing stock, that will go down as cost of goods sold. If you're spending money on Facebook ads, that will go down as advertising. Cleaning, if you've got an office and you pay a cleaner to come and do the cleaning, you can put that. Consultant and accountant, so if you're paying an accountant, you would log it under that. So hopefully that sort of paints the picture. What you can do as well as that, if you think that takes too long, this is called cash coding. Again, I'm using the example of an online store because that's my background, but hopefully for you, when you come to this page, you're going to have tens, if not hundreds of transactions of sales from your website, right? So you don't want to be going click, click, click all through that. So what you would come in here is, let's say all this was sale of all sort of items that customers have purchased from you. You can just come along like that and just select them all, and then click here, save and reconcile selected, and it'll just go, and it'll just log them all as I can't remember what the exact code is. I think it's, I don't know, but yeah, basically as a sale, as income, right? And then what you can do is you can go, this is where it starts getting really good, and this is where a spreadsheet just can't even come close. You can go to reports, and then the three key reports that you're going to want to look at the start is your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and probably your cash summary. Profit and loss is where I spend most of my time. It's the one I like to sort of look at the most. And it's basically a more complicated version of this one we went through with the spreadsheet. And so this is the report. So look, in here we can go, right, I want to see for this financial year profit and loss, right? So here you go, and it itemizes them all. Look, how good is this? So sales, we made 53,000 in sales. Purchases, 763. So I'm guessing this business is a services industry, because if you were selling products, there's no way like your purchases would be much higher than that. Anyway, and then you can see here we've got like advertising, $4,000, bank fees, 300, and so on and so forth. Legal expenses, $4,000. Rent is in there as well, $5,500. That's maybe for your office, or if you've got a little workshop or something like that. Wages for, yeah, this is definitely a services-based industry, hey, because they've made 53 grand in sales and spent 40 grand on wages and salaries. So I actually don't know, what, cleaning business or something maybe? I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? Like, they've obviously got fair few staff. And then at the bottom, it's got, so there's obviously the total operating expenses. So look, you can see here, you've made 53 grand, but your total expenses is 60. And your net profit is actually minus 8 grand. So then you might go, obviously I'm not very happy about losing 8 grand. Where have we been spending money? So you might go, 4 grand on advertising. What's that about? And then you can click onto it, and it will show all of the transactions that make up that sort of category. So you'll come in here and go, and you'll go, I've paid this smart agency $1,800. And again there, so design content. Okay, so this is some sort of advertising agency that we've made a couple of payments to. You're probably not going to be paying that every quarter, so you can go, okay, right, well, we can discount that almost, because next quarter we're not going to have to pay that. So that's 4 grand better off sort of thing that we might be next month. You can also come in and, why don't you look at here, rent. So you can look at rent. Victoria Property Agency. Yeah, so this is obviously rent for their premises for the business. If you're just starting a side business, chances are it's not going to look anywhere as complicated as this. Just trying to think what mine looks like. It's probably got about the same amount, but different, you know, like, so it's an online store. So freight, it has got freight on there, but freight and courier, mine is way more than $9. Mine's like thousands. Unfortunately, thanks Australia Post. So that's Xero in a nutshell, really. Obviously, there is way more complicated than that. You got payroll, everything like that. If you want it to be, you don't need to use most of it at the start, but it's there for further down the track if and when you need it. And the other thing I want to say is you're probably not going to be registered for registered for GST at the very start. But as soon as you earn over $75,000 in a financial year, you're going to need to be registered for GST. And then you have to start submitting business activity statements every 3 months, which is not a nightmare thanks to this software. So honestly, if you're registered for GST, get software. Don't even bother trying to do it on a spreadsheet. All right, so let's just set this up. Simplifies, which if you're earning less than 10 million a year, you're probably going to want to go for. Just keep it as simple as possible. Let's say cash accounting, no pay-as-you-go withholding. All right, Okay, right. So this is where the software is worth its weight in gold. So you can go, right, I need a business activity statement for the last quarter. Click create. And here you go. This is everything you'll need to do your business activity statement, just like that. So when you reconcile all your transactions and save them, you just come to this page and all the work's been done for you. So when you go to submit your business activity statement, you're just going to need to input these numbers and it's already been done for you. So that is just, like I said, worth its weight in gold. Personally, I give my accountant access. It's like I don't know if it's like full access, but it's specially designed so you can give accountants or anyone you hire access to your account. I give my accountant access to mine so that he can come in and just check everything over, make sure it looks good, and then lodge it for me. And it's super simple. So that's that. Like I said, there's a special promo offer. I reached out to Xero, not the other way around, because I thought I'm going to make this video anyway. I should actually reach out to them. And they've given viewers of this channel 75% off for the first 6 months, plus a 30-day free trial. I'm obliged to tell you that's an affiliate link, but I would be recommending this even if I wasn't using an affiliate link. All right, let's talk about your sort of monthly, what you should be doing on a monthly basis to help you stay organized. Is where a lot of beginners either get it right or go off the rails. So here's a simple monthly checklist to keep you on track. So first though, you want to just reconcile your bank statements. So go into your Xero, if that's what you're using, just make sure your reconciliation is all up to date, and then check that the totals that it says in Xero matches the totals in your bank accounts. Most of the time it's correct unless something's gone wrong, but it very rarely does. If it is, it's usually easy for you to spot. You might have just put a transaction through twice or something like that. Then you probably just want to review your expenses, make sure that you've categorized everything correctly, and make sure you're not just sort of wasting money where you shouldn't be. Then you can generate an income statement if you want. I mean, I don't really go into that much detail now I'm thinking about it. I just sort of look at the profit and loss statement and then sort of just make sure that's looking like as it should be. And what you can do is you can compare it to previous years. This is really good because then you can see sort of like if you're on target or like how you should be doing. So let's see here. So current financial year. Cool. All right, let's do this. Compare with previous year. So let's go quarter to date compared with previous year. Let's have a look. Why has it done that? Compare with previous 2 years. Okay, this wasn't really in existence, this business 2 years ago, so we can't do that. But if it was, you would see it here. So where it says here, sales 29 grand, it might say last year for that exact period of time, you made 20 grand. So, you're doing 9 grand better off, for example. And that can help you make forecasts about how much income you're going to make. And also then sort of based on that, you can help make forecasts about how much inventory do I need to buy for the next quarter? Do I need to take on an extra member of staff? Things like this. So this is what goes back to what I said at the very start of the video, that it's not just about getting your taxes done. It's actually about making better business decisions based on being able to see clearly what's actually happening in your business. Another thing that's good to do on a monthly basis, sorry to be boring, but put aside a little bit of money for tax each month. If you're new to being self-employed, it can be a bit of a shock, the first tax return you do, because obviously with a job, you're doing PAYG or pay-as-you-go tax. So every time you receive a paycheck from an employer, your tax is taken out for you. You don't have to worry about it. When you're self-employed, for the first year, usually at least, you're not paying any tax unless you sort of voluntary pay tax. And then at the end of the year, all of a sudden, you're smacked with a big bill. Same with if you're registered for GST, at the end of each quarter, all of a sudden you've got a GST bill. And if you've not put aside money throughout that period, it can you can go, well, there's no money there to pay it. And then you have to do like a payment plan, which is fine. It's very low interest or no interest. I can't actually remember, but it's fine, but it's just extra hassle. And then you're behind and you're paying payment plans every quarter and stuff. So if you can avoid doing that, it would be best to. One other thing I just want to talk about is the benefits of hiring an accountant. I strongly recommend doing it. You will pretty much, in my opinion, you're pretty much guaranteed to make more back by hiring an accountant than what the accountant will cost, if that makes sense. So first of all, they're going to make sure everything's correct and you're not going to get in trouble for doing something wrong, because they're actually professionals, right? And also they're going to know about certain sort of tax benefits and things that you'll be eligible for that you might not have heard of. For example, one year, I can't remember what year it was, there was an extra sort of, I think it must have been during COVID, there was an extra technology incentive. I can't remember the name of it. And I actually hadn't heard of that. And I had bought some technology in that year. My accountant was able to sort that out for me. So that's just one example of ways that having an accountant will actually save you money. It's good to have someone in your corner when questions come up like company structure. Should I be sole trader or should I be in a company structure? Questions like that. It's good to have an accountant you can trust. When you hire an accountant, ideally you're going to want to keep them for a long time, not just get a different accountant each time you have a question or every time you need to do a tax return. So spend a bit of time at the beginning finding someone who's good and someone that you like and, most importantly, trust. If you found this video useful, then please hit subscribe. There's plenty more videos on the way about small business and side businesses and side hustles in Australia. They'll be applicable to basically anywhere in the world, but we mainly focus on Australia, especially when there's sort of country-specific issues. If you only take away one thing from this video, it should be that bookkeeping or accounting is not actually as complicated and as scary as you may have first thought. You're not going to get sent to jail for making a small mistake. It's completely understandable. It's overwhelming at the start, but it shouldn't be. Just learn what you need to do, the essentials, bit by bit, and then just add more knowledge as you go. Starting a business in Australia in general is actually really easy, especially with the internet and stuff these days. Watch this video and it's literally the one-stop shop of videos for setting up a business in Australia. It will tell you everything you need from start to finish. It's 25 minutes long, but I promise you by the end of that, you'll be like, right, I'm ready to go. So I'll see you there.